Welcome back to the table, everyone. We're going to go ahead and take a look at turn number 5. So first things first, you are all being very generous to me. Nobody's pointing out a lot of errors because I caught one myself. I realized this yesterday after I had posted that when the Americans, I think they did a group fire, I'm not remembering who exactly shot down here, but when they shot down into this hex, there is actually a divisor for defense divisor of 2 for open ground. So I like that. Let me just tell you why I thought that was good. In a lot of games, if units are caught out in the open, there's like no defensive bonuses or anything, so they're just shot up. And part of me says, well, that makes sense. But the other part of me says, even though people are out in the open, they're actually still trying to find cover and protection. So even in the open, I think the results I had were like 3 hits got through. Well, that should have been 3 divided by 2, which would have been 1, round down. So I should have applied only one step loss here. So I think I did like a 2 step loss, step loss to each squad and then reduced 1. So technically, just to be fair to the Germans, I'm going to give them back a step loss and a reduction because really they should have only had 1 step loss. So I'm actually going to put that step loss on this squad here. So the game is becoming less and less the death fest that I thought it was at first when you actually start trying to apply the rules correctly. And that's why we play games, right? That's why I talk this out with you guys, because this is helping me to learn and make sure I get it right. So even though we've bungled our way through a few turns, I am going to play this again. Maybe not immediately, but I'm telling you though, the game is growing on me. I actually kind of really like it. The thing though that I still don't like, and maybe that will change as I play again, is applying morale and keeping track of the company morale versus platoon morale and morale checks, and then it's penalties and modifiers beyond how many platoons you start with, and it makes sense on paper, but in practice for me, and I struggle with rules, it's a little much. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into turn 5. I still think I'm going to make a play A just for me that has some of these steps, something a little more professional looking than this. So we're going to do the command phase, which is primarily checking for who's out of command. As it stands, everybody's within command range. So the German Charlie Company is good. They've got everybody within that range of 1. Same with Bravo Company. They've got everybody here in the stack with him. And then we have Charlie Company for the Americans. They're all together as well. And up here, Alpha Company is doing a blocking action of German troops here. This is blocking because it's going to be dangerous. The woods block line of sight, but now we have to go to adjacent combat, which, hey, cool, we'll do it. But yeah, it just means you got to get up close and fight. No assault rules yet. Remember, that comes later in the rule book. And then we've got the German Bravo Company. They're within command range as well. Let's see. He's got a 2 leadership 1s. Yeah, so all of these are pretty good. I don't have any scrub leaders with like just a 0, hex only. Now, right now as it stands, victory point wise, the Americans are controlling the board. They've got victory points here, victory points here, victory points here. Germans own this set of victory points. That's it. So we've got to try and turn things around for the Germans. But I don't think that's going to happen because the Americans are dug in deep here in the city. And that's like a huge defensive bonus for them. It is. It's dramatically good. That's why reading ahead in the rules, bring assault, because then we want to try and get up here. Thing is, as we advance, what I would do is, after determining initiative, probably what I would do is put these folks on some kind of like Overwatch. So reaction, that way, if the German player came up, boom, they're just going to be like, okay, we're going to open fire. So, yeah, the Americans now are kind of on the defense as far as this area. Here, they could probably just stay on the defense as well. It's the Germans that are going to have to push. They have to push. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So everybody's in command. Nobody is out of command. So we're going to check for initiative. I moved the dice tower here. Okay, we're back. You can see the dice tower. Try not to bump stuff. So we got Americans are the attackers. They get +1, and they got +1 because they had initiative the entire time. So green die for the Americans, red for the Germans. So you're going to have to get a really low roll for the Americans if the Germans want a chance at this. Did not happen. Americans, again, dominate the initiative side of things. I feel bad for the German player, but it is what it is. So with that in mind, we're going to put, I am going to put these guys on reaction. Let me flip this other one here. So they're going to be on reaction. So when the Germans decide to make their pushes, they're right there. See, they can shoot from here, but they gotta roll. They gotta roll really, really well to even try and put some casualties in here. There are some, but they brought those with them. Well, let's do it. Let's do an attack. So Charlie Company is gonna go for it. Now, because I put the casualties, I did get 1 step loss. I put it here. We got to remember that we took 1 step loss. The original firepower was 6, so that's a -1 fire factor. So they're actually at a fire factor of 5, and then we're going to add in 6 fire factor here. So that's 12 in the stack. 12 in the stack. 18 with this attached squad. And then add 4 more is 22. They also subtract 1 from their die roll because one of these squads here has a red fire factor, which means it's semi-automatic fire. Let me see if I can just zoom in a little bit more. I'm trying to keep everything in here in one shot. That's a little better. Alright, here we go. Gee whiz! That's a 9, subtract 1 is 8. So what was the fire factors I said? 22? I said 22 fire factor. The chart actually has a 22. But they rolled a 9 minus 1 is 8. Oh, minus 1 because there are 6 steps here in this area. Well, there's not 6 steps. Yeah, there is. Because there's... Did I overstack them? 3... No, I didn't overstack. Did I overstack? I may have overstacked. I won't tell anyone. Because that's 6, add 1 because they're reduced. So that's 7. I think it's overstacked, but shh. We're going to let it slide. Well, let's see. Let's find out, because maybe we might need to fix that. I was going to let that slide, but the Americans have had too many advantages with my interpretation of rules. So let me find stacking real fast. That's actually one of the first pages. Troops, talks about platoons, stacking. Oh, 9 steps. They're allowed a maximum of 9 steps of combat platoon. So they're fine. Never mind. They're good. Okay, so but that is another -1 because that's 6 steps in there. So actually it's a 7. Oh, good, because that actually makes a difference. So 7 come across to the 22 is 6. Yeah, because the 8 would have been 5. So this actually, having them stacked that way, gave a benefit towards the Germans. So that's 22. Now remember, the defensive bonus of a built-up area is 5. So I got to take the number of hits, 6, divide that by 5. So really it's 1. That is excellent news for the German player. So that means I get to put a -1, and I'm going to apply it to that group right there. Now, normally, just for balancing issues, normally I would put whoever has an odd marker on the very bottom, so I know that just that unit is affected. But that's going to be a lot of me moving stuff around to remember. So I'm going to remember that the machine gun unit is not suffering a -1. So that's one of my ways to keep the clutter down on counters. Is usually I'll just use one reduction counter and everything below it is at that. But I got to remember that machine gun is not affected by that. It's just easier to stack this way. All right, that seems correct. They did all of that and they applied a -1. That's something. The Germans needed something. They were not doing well. Boom. All right, then it would come back to the American player. Now I'd say we could go on to reaction, but we won't. We'll go ahead and fire. We're going to return fire. But here's the thing. These are a little bit out of range to be really effective. They lose some fire factors from that squad. And their machine gun only has 3 fire factors, so it's not that good. It's within range, but then they get half because they're range 3. I almost feel like moving them over. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm going to move this squad. So this squad is going to move. They won't participate in combat because they're done. So just as a reminder, I'm going to temporarily put a finished on him. So what's going to happen is the rest of the company is going to fire into this hex. They're at a good range. They maintain their range, and then these are also at range 2. So that's going to be 12 plus 3 is 15. Later, next turn, that other squad can add their full fire factor. All right, so that's 15 fire factors coming in. Is there a 15 chart? No, there is not, but there's a 14. So we're going to roll 2 dice. Again, -1 because there's a semi-automatic weapon. They've got 6 steps. I sure hope they still have 6 steps in here. The leader, let's see. This guy is worth 3 steps. Ah, it's only 5 steps. So they don't get a -1 step for 6 steps. It's just 5. So it's only -1 because of the semi-automatic rifle attached. So that's going to drop from 8 to a 7. Cross-reference the 7 with the 14, which is a 4 on my chart. And again, they're in the open, so you divide that by 2. So that is still 2 hits, though. That is still 2 hits. All right, now just before I apply, I'm going to mark this whole stack as finished and finito. So I have to apply 2. So they're going to get 1. So right now, 1, the whole stack is down by 1, and that means one of them has to get reduced. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the non-semi-automatic rifle one to reduced, and that is the two hits applied. Yep. Now, with that and said, there. So that means this bottom one only has 1 step loss. These folks have a step loss. Well, they're reduced. So there's the leader. Okay, back to the German player. Now, right now, well, I tell you what, because I don't necessarily need to force combat, what I could do is, let's try this. We're going to move them around. And they're going to double time. They're going to double time, which gives them 3 movement points. There was some rules in here about there was like an advanced move, I forget what it's called, but it lets you do your double time and you get to shoot at the end of it, but then there's like a +1 penalty to your attack roll for doing that, and they're not going to do that. They're just going to try and skirt around here and get to a victory point situation. So the movement for the woods is 2 movement points for infantry. So we're going to actually just step out here into the clear. So we're going to go 1, and they got 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if it would have been cheaper to go through here. It would have been, we were here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. and then they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know how smart that was, but I tell you what, that now pushes pressure back on the Americans to fall back and cover that objective. See, if you had a hidden movement game, they wouldn't have known that was happening. Now, because I've moved those folks out a little bit, you can't see them on the board anymore. So let's just move. There we go. Now you can see where everybody is. This camera arm wiggles too much after moving, so settle down, boy. Alright, so we've got the reduced squad there, or reduced platoon, and then the leader and 2 platoons? Yeah, 2 fresh platoons. Making a run for that. Now, the Americans were on reaction, and I think, yeah, they're going to stay that way, but they're going to come off of reaction because they need to move back. So they got themselves dug in and were waiting for folks to come at them through the woods, but then I decided we'll move the Germans around, so that didn't happen. So what we'll do is go ahead to marker removal. So the finish comes off, finish is off. The reaction is going to come off because we've decided we got to move. We heard a lot of rustling around in the woods behind us, and we said, uh-oh, we got to get back. Oops, I just took more. Don't take the leader. Alright, so we're going to advance our turn marker. Now we're going to go ahead and out of command. Everybody is still within the command range of their respective companies, so that's fine. Then we're going to roll for initiative. It's still +2 for the Americans. Ooh, so close, Germany. They just didn't get it. I don't know how common that is, where one side maintains initiative the whole way through. I thought there'd be some more back and forth who got to go first, but wasn't the case. But, you know, it is what it is. That's the winds of war, fortunes of war. Then we do activation phase. We're going to do alternating activations. Since the Americans have initiative, the Americans are going to move first, and they're going to go back and lay claim on here. So we're going to go 1, 2. Well, here, let's move the bigger stack. Oh, they were on an objective right there. Oh, I need to put double time. The double time marker is just a reminder that they can't double time again this particular turn. So after I've activated them, I will remove the double time because then their turn's done, right? They can't move. So this is just a reminder that they can't double time. I can't have them double time again. So we're going to go ahead and move them. Oh, now I'm playing falling stacks. No, we were doing so good. I was trying to impress you all with my stack management. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, I could have done opportunity fire here, but since that hex, I thought it was clear, actually is a light woods. But now that I've moved here, this unit, is it gonna opportunity fire? So here's the problem with that. They only have 3 fire factors, and woods have a defensive bonus of, light woods is a 3. So they would do maybe 1 casualty depending on how I roll. I'd have to roll amazingly low versus, yeah, because then if I move, it's move or shoot. It's not move and shoot. So, and they can't double time again to try and do that advance thing that I was talking, the tactical advance. So, well, we got to move the rest of the company here. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They probably did not, yeah, they didn't have to double time. They were just like right there. Okay, so they've moved. They are now defending that position. We would have to assault to try and take that over. So the German player is not going to move. The German player is going to shoot. I'm just going to move that double time now so I can see the counters. They're going to do it. They're going to go ahead and fire. I'm going to have to roll a 2 or a 3 to have any chance of inflicting any casualties before this is over. Not a chance. There's a 1, but that's it. So that's 6 on 3 fire factors. Oh no, I had to roll a 5 or less. 3 fire factors, I was being a little punitive damages to the German player. So actually, do I get a -1? Yeah, I do. Check it out. We'll give him a -1 because there is 6 steps worth of airborne in that hex. And that gives you a -1 to your roll. That means it's a 5. 5 cross-referenced with the firepower of 3 is 3 hits. But divide that by the light woods number of 3. That is 1. 1 casualty is applied. Oh, well that went much better than we thought that it would. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick some casualties on, where's a -1? This one. Alright, that is not too unbelievable. Yeah, I'm okay with that result. And so is the German player. So they finished. They're going to pass through. 1, 2. Because they didn't violate stacking limits there. So they moved. If we had more turns, they'd be in position. So this is actually good. Let me tell you why this is good now. Since it is less deadly, kind of I think will kind of change how I play going forward. But I think a little more realistic. You're not going to feel like you just lost a whole bunch of units in one attack. Yeah, I like this. I like that. Excuse me. So combat much better there. Okay, last little bit of combat here. We go back to the German player. And they're going to fire in here some more. We got to inflict some casualties. Because again, no assault. So all we got is shooting. And they're at range where they get their full firepower. So everybody's here. So they're going to be 10. 10. Well, they're reduced. So 10 plus 3 is 13. Plus we had to subtract 1. So 13 plus 5. Oh, it's still 18. For some reason, I thought there would be more. 18 fire factor points. There's a 16 chart. So we'll be rolling. No, there is an 18. We're going to roll on the 18. There are 6 steps in here. Did we suffer some casualties? He's reduced, so that's 1. And there are 2. Yep. Altogether, that is 6 steps. So we're going to subtract 1. Also, there is, I thought I had a semi-automatic. Yeah, there's a semi-automatic weapon. So we're going to subtract 1. So that is 4. Cross-reference with the 18 chart. That's 8 hits. Being in a built-up area, it's a defense of 5. So I said, what, 8 hits? Divide by 5. So that's still 1. Because you drop bonuses. So 5 goes into 8 one time. So that's still one casualty. Well, so now we could apply that to the machine gun unit. So now everything under there is going to be dropped by 1 fire factor. Okay. Good. There you go. Pour the fire on just spraying whatever buildings they have there with gunfire. Yeah, this is the one where I move. I'm going to have more fire factor. So that was American, German. Uh-oh. I did 2 Germans in a row. That's why something didn't look right. I did 2 German units in a row. Oh no. Old bad habits of activating whole formations at a time coming in. Wrong game. Alright, well I apologize. So I gave the Germans two activations in a row. So that just leaves these 2 activations. So we'll go ahead and here's how we're going to do this. This company, this is Bravo Company. They'll attack down here to this hex, and then Charlie Company will put all their firepower into this hex and see if we can do one last mega bit of damage. So let's add this up. You've got three fire factors. Subtract 1, that's 5. So we're at 8. And subtract 1 for that. So that's 13 fire factors because the machine gun has 6. Subtract 1 for the loss. So that's 13 fire factors. Okay, got it. On the chart, we only have a 12. So remember, I'm rolling on a 12. This does not have, yeah, it does. This has 6 steps, so that's -1. We have an automatic weapon, it's -2. Ooh, so that's 4 -2. That's a 2. On the 12, that's 8 hits. They're in the open, so you divide that by 2. That is 4 hits. That's pouring on the firepower. So that's 4 hits. That means you would apply the -1 to one, -1 to the other, and then each one gets flipped to the reduced side. So that was deadly. That was deadly. So that hurt them tremendously. Ow. Now, normally I'd be keeping track of my step losses. It's just because I've messed that up so much, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Because that would be going on to Charlie Company. Yeah, and Charlie Company already took some losses earlier. So, yeah, I just didn't do a very good job of tracking that once I realized I was doing this wrong. So we'll just let them be. We're not going to punish them anymore. But Americans are going to get it finished. So they are done. Then we're going to go to Charlie Company, last attack of the game. So they're going to put some firepower in here. This time, they get a full 3 for the machine gun because it's at 3 hexes away. Then we have 6 from that squad, 6 from there, so that's 12. So that's 15. It's a little bit more than I had before. 15. Oh, but don't forget this. There was a squad hiding under here. So that's actually 21. 21. And we have a 20. So I'm going to roll on the 20. And they have how many steps in here? Because they took some losses. Right, they don't have a full 6. So they're only getting -1 for their semi-automatic weapons. And they're rolling on the 20. And they subtract 1 from that. So that means they got a 3 on the 20 chart. That's still really good. So 3 cross-reference with the 20 is 9 hits. 9 hits. In the open, divide that by 2. So that's 4.5, round down, because that's not fire factors. The only one you round up is fire factors, so this was a defense on hits. So that's still 4 hits. And that's going to be very devastating. So even though they're in the open, they got a little bonus there. It's still bad. Okay, so 1 hit, because they were already reduced, or they were already had a -1. So 1, 2, 3, and that's it. They're gone. Now, you could then say that the leader is by himself, technically, and there was 1 hit left to apply. That, I guess, would carry down to the leader. So he's squished as well. Yeah, he's by himself, and he got shotted, so he's out. Peace out. Now we would check, though, based on the amount of losses that we had, we would make a morale. So they had a starting morale of 6 for, what company is that? Charlie Company. So Charlie Company, they had, well, they've taken a lot of step losses. Let me see if I can do this right. They started with 4 platoons. They've lost 3 platoons. That's 12 steps. That's 8. That's 8 beyond their starting. There's like no way you can pass a morale from that. Plus you lost your leader. They would be routing. Like, I have no doubt they would be routing right now. We'll go ahead and mark them finished. Mark them finished. Done. And then now would be the end of the turn. That's it. That's game. All right. let's do a recap. Well, I just realized that I filmed this in low quality, so when I upload this, it is probably going to look really low quality on your computer. So that was a mistake. I had actually just filmed something else, but I had to put the resolution down really, really low. So these last two turns might not look very good on the YouTube. Oops, that's okay. The gameplay was kind of sloppy anyhow, so matches the filming, no big deal. But you can look at me in high def. Hopefully it comes through in high def. Now, about this, still learning, clearly. I think I've got a better grasp on it. The game actually plays much, much better than I was expecting. When I first read the rules, it all seemed to make sense until I got to morale. And I think you've heard me complain about, well, I shouldn't say complain, but I've made that comment every single time I film this video. The morale to me is still a little bit confusing. And I think what will happen is, as I play again, and it really, that's the only way to learn these things, right? You just have to keep playing. So I'm thinking, though, if I play again, now that I realize combat is not as deadly as I thought it was, I'll take fewer losses. It might be easier for me to track those morale losses and things like that, and maybe I'll get a better grasp on it. So overall, though, my impressions of the game is it is actually a lot better than I first thought. I'm not unhappy playing this. It's actually a lot simpler and quicker and smoother than what I thought it would be. I haven't included all of the rules yet. Like, this is just the first few pages of rules from the book that you read, and then it says, okay, play scenario 1. So like I said, there's still like assault and some other things that haven't been covered yet in the rules. So I'm sure there's going to be some more depth added on. But as it stands, just maneuvering your companies and then engaging, calculating fire factors, things like that, it hasn't been that bad at all. And some of you have pointed out that, you know, you thought it's a good series as well. I actually am agreeing. This is a good series to get into. It's not as cumbersome as I thought it would be. And like I said, once we master morale, I think we'll be fine. Then after that, we're going to graduate to armor rules, because armor is at the last little section, but it's only a few pages long. So armor isn't, like, from what I can tell, going to be any much more complicated. It does have a few rules to it. Normally, I'm not happy with games like that, where you spend all this time learning the intricacies of infantry, and then at some point you can say to yourself, hey, I've graduated to armor. But in this case, I don't think it's going to be that bad. Again, with only a few pages of armor rules, I don't think they're going to be anything too different than what we have. Mostly, when I was looking at some of the counters, some of the combat values are still there, but they have like the anti-personnel factor. Then they might have a anti-vehicle factor. Then there's artillery to call in at some point. So a few more things that you would expect to find in like a World War II war game. But that's going to come in time. Probably I will learn a lot of that off camera, and then maybe we'll come back. I have a lot of things that I want to get to and play again, so finding time to play that and then film it, just it comes when it comes. And I was looking at the YouTube. I've deleted some videos off of the YouTube channel, and there's still like 700 videos. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I went looking, and I started putting stuff up about sometime in 2013. And a lot of it's not war game related. I was doing Twitch. I had fun with that, did some Twitch streaming, did some computer stuff, which is okay. But the thing is, with a family, it's hard to focus on that entirely because you got kids screaming in the background. I know a lot of people don't care, but it's annoying to me. So I moved to the tabletop stuff, which is great. And I don't have nearly the amount of videos yet for tabletop. But I've also noticed that the subscriber count has gone up too, which is fantastic. So thank you all very much for watching the videos and supporting the channel. Your comments go a long way in keeping me doing this. Again, just as a labor of love, it's really fun. And hopefully, well, I tell you something else I think is really nice too, is when people say that they decided to pick up a game because they watched me play it, and they said, well, you know what, that looks pretty good, and I bet I could do that better than Eddie. So I like hearing that this has inspired you in some way to get into a game that you might not have considered before. Because I don't get paid by the companies for this, sometimes they will send me a game. I'll ask. I haven't not had a company yet come to me specifically and say, "Hey, Eddie, please do this." I have to go and ask. And so it's the generosity of the company that, they take a chance on me to promote their stuff. So that's very cool too. But I still end up buying a lot of stuff. So it makes me feel good when there's something I've purchased and I've shared and then someone says, "You know what? I got that because I watched a video of yours and I enjoy it too." So that's very cool. Because to me, that's kind of the idea of a community that I was hoping to be a part of or maybe start, is that sharing of the passion and the love for the games. And it doesn't even matter if it's war games. Seems to be that's kind of what I gravitate towards, and that's what people come to watch. So I'm part of that community. Clearly, I'm not as versed in the games. One thing that I thought was important to me as far as making a channel was spend more time playing the game. I think reviews are good. I like unboxings. For me, that's just kind of fun. I like opening a new game and sharing what's in it, and then maybe later down the road share my thoughts about it as a review. But it's always disappointing when I go to places and there's more not playing than playing. And for me, if I really want to form my own opinion on if it's a game I like, I want to see it played. So that's what I was hoping to do here. And even that's kind of twisted a little bit in the fact that you're watching someone who has never played these things before play them and then learn them. And hopefully you still get an idea of how the game plays, but then you're learning it along with me. And what I really, really like is when people who understand and they play the game and then they want to come and share comments. I think that's pretty outstanding. And to me, that's the kind of community I want to be with. People who are not afraid to learn with each other and then share those tips so we can all find games that we enjoy and share that out. So that's the last thing I want to just share with you, is keep playing and keep sharing. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good night. Bye. I want to do a really fancy outro, but just